Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Lau with Kenshan Crafts, and today is a super amazing initial review or initial first impression of my very I wouldn't say it's my first Grail pen, but it is. Yeah, I'll say it's the first Grail pen that I've been longing for. The rest of my, in the past couple of months, I have bought pens that are Grail status, and they are Grail pens for me as well, but they weren't really on my future goal Grail list, but this one is. So I'm super excited to have you guys take a look at it with me today. So I have already opened this, but this is my Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age. My value that I would buy it at was between $450 and $500, and this pen usually just is between like $700 and above. And it is now just the new 18 karat Visconti nib. However, I was able to find a 23 karat Palladium nib, the Dream Touch of past. I just love like relics of the past, and I would consider this kind of a relic. I know it's not that old, but it is very rare and sought after by people who do want it. And I know that the 18 karat gold nib writes very well, and it's much more consistent. This 23 karat Palladium is pre-owned, loved, and used, so I am very confident about purchasing this, knowing that it's great, and it is great. So all right, without further ado, let's take a look at the pen. So the pen did not come with a box. The seller on eBay that I got this from, she said that she was selling off her her granddad's, I think it's her granddad or her father. No, it's her father. So her father was an avid collector of fountain pens, and she was selling his collection. I don't think I think they wanted to like trim down on his collection. And so this was the Visconti Homo Sapien was one of his pens, and I was just like, okay, I'm very sure that it is definitely a good pen. I, will trust her vouching for her father's pen collection, and that they all wrote really well. And so she didn't need to put it in such a lovely gift box and a lovely felt pouch here. So, and this pouch fits the Homo sapien perfectly. So let's take a look at the pen. Oh my goodness, just look at that. Okay, so I first noticed, I'm not sure. So the Visconti Homo sapien went through quite a few changes, and just looking right here, it looks like the Visconti logo on this clip here is just it's not, I think it's just laser engraved. At some point it changed from like it was etched in to it. I think I would have preferred that one more than this one, but if I really want that, and somebody sells the etched one, I would love that. But this one is kind of just laser engraved in there, so it's pretty simple, but at the same time, it won't catch any like dust within the grooves. So that's one pro of this new Visconti clip logo. Okay, so initially when I first opened this pen, it was very gray. Well, not gray, but like charcoalish. It had a lot of gray in it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, is this really the Homo sapien? So it was definitely very eye-opening to see it at first, because in the pictures, like, and videos, Visconti, the Homo sapien Bronze Age, is basically just completely black, and like it's like a dark black. The Visconti Homo sapien is made of basaltic lava, and so it is hydroscopic. Is that what the word is? So it does absorb moisture, and so when it isn't around moisture, it will dry up, like how our hands, our skin dry when there's no moisture. When I touched it for a little while, it did become a little darker. So this is such an interesting pen. The hygroscopic material in this lava material is just so cool. So, and then on top of that, on top of it being such a charcoal color, when I felt it in my hand, I was like, this feels like resin. Like I was expecting basaltic lava and this Homo sapien to feel heavy and feel like a rock, but it does have like a very strong resin feel to it, which makes sense anyways, because this pen is a mixture of the basaltic lava and resin. So it is a very unique material, hence why it's such an expensive pen. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly go over the parts of the pen. Up here is the Visconti finial. Okay, so that's the Visconti finial, and this is a magnet that, I think you'd need a strong magnet to remove it. And you can put any other finial up here from the My Pen system through Visconti, but I really love the bronze finishes here, so I like it the way it is. And then the clip is this, you do see a little bit of like, I think, like that's just like a little bit of patina going on there because of the copper, and then it's kind of just stuck onto the basaltic lava on the cap here, but I think I can clean that up with some sort of cloth that can polish this pen. So the copper throughout this pen does patina, which means that it will get darker, or when it oxidizes, it'll change color and become a little darker. And the copper is kind of like a rose gold color. It will change over time. And then there's these two rings here in the center of the cap. It is just amazing. I just like that. It's so simple yet so classy. And then the ring band here around the grip section of the pen says Homo sapiens. Yep, just Homo sapiens. And amazing. I don't know how long they've had this pen for, but I don't see, the pen doesn't seem too patinaed, which is fine. I don't mind if it's like purely new, or if it has some patina or a lot of patina. If it does have a lot of patina, at that point I would then kind of decide if I wanted to clean up or not. And then over here by the end is another ring to separate the piston section from the barrel of the body. So this Visconti Homo sapien Bronze Age is a power filler or a vacuum filler. And Visconti calls it the power filler. And then to open, it's just like 1/6 of a turn. And it's spring loaded. The cap has a spring in it. And so this is the hook safe, or hook lock safe capping mechanism for Visconti. And so you can see here the threads are kind of, there's some grooves there, but it's not sharp at all. It's very soft, which is very makes me wonder if this will kind of like if the material will deteriorate over time, because it's like not completely 100%. So it does look a little soft. They do feel like they're kind of worn out a little bit, but that only makes sense from the use of this pen being used before. But it's still pretty good at closing the pen securely. So I'm assuming there's also more going on inside the cap to ensure that even if this wears down a little bit, that it will still stay very secure and airtight. So the grip section here is moderate, pretty moderate. It's not too long or not too short. My thumb does rest on the ring here, and then my index finger rests on the grip section, and that's kind of how I write with my tripod grip. All right. and it feels really good in my hands. This is it's a little heavier than what I am like really comfortable with, but this is still a comfortable weight for me. So let's look at the nib. Oh my gosh, this is the Visconti. You know, the engraving is just so beautiful on here. And it is two-toned. I think the rhodium tone of this nib isn't really showing off in my lighting, but there you can kind of see the difference between the gold. And it's a medium nib, and on the nib it says 23K Palladium Ferens. Look it up. So I have a medium nib, and it's equipped with a plastic feed, though I know that Visconti's pens are very wet writers, so these plastic feeds are just perfectly fine at ensuring good ink flow. So the grip section is really great, and the diameter of the grip section is about 11, and then the length of the body is about 5.2 inches or 132 millimeters, which is also a very, very good length for me writing unposted. So I find that between 5 and 5.3 inches is the perfect length of a pen, whether it's posted or unposted. And most pens, if they're heavy enough, unposting them is how I like to write. And then if you do post, this pen does post, it becomes a pretty good length. Like, it's not too large, it's not too short. And you know, it is a bigger pen. This is the regular Homo sapiens. I think there is a midi Homo sapiens, which is smaller. So it does post really securely, but as you could see there, it took a little force to take out. So I don't really want to do that. Like, I don't want to scratch the surface of this pen at all. It does have a little bit of a, like, the basaltic lava piece is kind of coming off of there, but that's okay. It's just part of the charm of this pen. So all right, and so posted, it is about 6.8 inches, almost 7 inches, and that I just feel like that's super long. So it is it's a little back, yeah, it's pretty back weighted for sure. In a quadrupod grip where more of the front of the pen is being gripped, it feels a little more balanced, but still very weighty in the back. This cap is very heavy, so the weight of the pen is 26 grams. If you post it, it is a total of 43 grams, so the cap is about 17 grams. So it's a heavy cap. So most likely I would recommend writing this unposted. If you are a die-hard poster, this will be a very heavy pen. So, and the ink capacity in here is 1.5 milliliters. So it holds a lot, but like not terribly too much. And I tend to like changing my inks a lot. So this is going to be a pen that is used with, you know, either I use the same ink for a long time. So I will have to choose an ink that is really good in this pen because I'm such a, I get bored with inks really easily, or if I don't like the ink, I will not write with it. It's just, let me know down in the comments if you're like that too. So I do find that a lot of the Italian pens, the high-end Italian pens that I want, are all vacuum or piston fillers, and they just have such a high ink capacity. So I try to not put too much ink in it. And so sometimes these piston or vacuum fillers don't fill all the way, which is perfect for my needs. So, but if you are somebody that wants a full fill, I'm sure that you would just need to like do the vacuum fill multiple times to get a full fill, because this pen, the Visconti Homo Sapien Bronze Age, does not have any ink window, so you will not be able to tell how much ink is left. That's the one issue with this pen, though I don't really care about that. A lot of people do. An ink window is nice and pretty, and I think it would have been nice if this part was an ink window. But the fact that this pen is, like, I do like pens that are very classy looking and it's just sharp and smooth all, the design is sharp and smooth throughout, and that is what this pen is. So I feel like the Visconti tried to add ink windows to their new Homo sapiens, like the skylight right here, or the giant resin window. They don't look as handsome as this one. And so 9 out of 10 times I will still choose this design over their new ones, even though they have ink windows on them. I think for me, I'm used to it and I'm okay with that. But I know that it's a deal breaker for some people. But with such a beautiful looking pen, I don't think it's a deal breaker at all. Okay. All right. So this pen, I have tested it and I cleaned it up and it is perfect and ready to go. So I wanted to show you guys a writing test, but before that, let's take a look at how it compares to some of the pens, in case you are looking for purchasing this pen in the future. You can kind of see the size comparisons here. So that is the Visconti Homo sapien, and here is my Leonardo Momento Zero Grande, the Leonardo Momento Zero. Here's a Sailor Pro Gear Slim, a Kaweco Sport, and then a TWSBI Eco, and the Pilot Custom 823. So let's see, zoom in a little here. So you can see that the Pilot, let me try to organize this in terms of size. Okay, so in this, the Visconti Homo sapiens kind of sits as a third longest pen on capped. The Momento Zero Grande is pretty large. As I said, this is pretty large. And then the Pilot Custom 823, if you love your Custom 823, it is fairly similar in size, but it's a little girthier, and a tiny bit shorter than the 823. It is longer than the TWSBI, the Momento Zero, and these two tinier pocket pens. Okay, so when you post it, these pens are extremely long, but you can see here that the Pilot Custom 823 is shorter than the Homo sapien Bronze Age, and that is most likely due to the fact that the cap kind of posts deeper, and so it is shorter, which is really good in terms of posting. The Custom 823 is the most comfortable and the most balanced posted. So as you can see all here, it is the shortest of the posted pens for the long pens, and so this one is what I would call or consider a good length for being posted. And then these two, the Kaweco is a good, it makes it posted about the same length as the Homo sapien unposted. Let's see, I think the Custom 823 and the Visconti Homo sapiens is almost identical in length. The TWSBI is also pretty much there, so these three are like the same length. And so when I say that the Custom 823 is the perfect size for me to write unposted, this is the length that I go for, which is about 5.2 inches. And so the Custom 823, the Visconti Homo sapiens, and the TWSBI are the same length, which is amazing. They are perfect for me to write with. The Leonardo is a little shorter, and then these two, of course, are super short, and I do not write with these unposted. So these 5 pens here are the perfect length unposted for me. So I have 3 pilot inks. I know that the Visconti writes wet, so this is going to be a gamble. It's not a gamble. I know it's going to become almost a fire hose, but we'll see. Pilot inks are wet, but they also dry really nicely and fast. So, but we'll have to test that. Put that to the test. So I have Kujaku, Tsukiyo, and Suigyoku, but I wrote in my journal with all 3 colors. I just dip tested them, and I decided that Kujaku would be the most interesting to use. Tsukiyo is the most professional looking to use, so if you want to pair this with Tsukiyo, it is a great office pen, but this is a medium nib, so it is a little wetter and broader. I would pair Tsukiyo with this if it was a fine or extra fine. So let's ink this up and do a writing sample. So you want to just twist the back here until it's all, it's all out of there, and then you just pull the piston rod, and you have to submerge the nib into the ink so that when you push this down, it creates a vacuum, and there's like bubbles in the ink. It will create a vacuum, and then once the vacuum closes, the air will rush and push the ink inside the barrel. So, and again, I won't be able to see how much ink is in there, but I am okay with however much it gets. So, and one fair warning for the Visconti Homo sapien is that it is hydroscopic. So because of that, it will absorb whatever color ink you choose. And it will absorb it on this section here at the very tip. You can see how it's darker there. It's because it's hydroscopic, it will absorb the color of that ink. So like you want to quickly wipe that ink so that it doesn't like stain it. So I'm not quite sure how else to clean it. I do see the blue here, so I'm a little wary of it becoming a blue tip. I'm assuming that you could just use water and clean off this part of it, like put some water on there, so that it dilutes that color, because I can see like the Kujaku is right there. It's probably not in the camera that well, but so because of that, it's not terribly noticeable. It does dry up, so all right. Let me just close the cap for now. Let's see if I can do something like this. Yeah. I'm just going to rub some water on the grip section so that I can clean off the Kujaku that's on the grip. So this pen does seem like it requires a little bit more maintenance and just taking care of to make it to keep it pristine. And so, all right, so that kind of took care of some of the blue pigment that got caught at the tip here. So I'm happy with that. As you can see here on my napkin, the blue is definitely absorbed onto the paper from the pen. So let's see how it writes. And I will also show a little bit of line comparison. Let's zoom in there. Okay, so the Visconti Homo sapiens is not a double reservoir, so it only has one barrel, or the inside is just one barrel. So you can write with this, the end piston knob here closed completely. The A23, Pilot Custom A23 is a double reservoir, so you do need to open the Pilot Custom A23 for the ink to pass into the front reservoir, but this one is just one whole chamber. So keep it closed and it looks nice and beautiful. And so I'm going to do a writing sample and then compare it with some other mediums that I have. Okay, so this is my Visconti. Ooh, it is juicy. Homo sapiens. Bronze Age. This is the 23 karat Palladium nib. Palladium Dream Touch. It's got the perfect amount of feedback and it's very smooth. It is also very wet. Kujaku is a wet ink and this medium nib is broad. So let's see. Let's do some strokes, line strokes. This is with no pressure. Some pressure. Some line variations. This is a slightly bouncy nib. So this is the 23 karat Palladium Dream Touch nib. It is very bouncy. I love the bounce of this nib. It's so wonderful. It's not super soft, but it's bouncy enough to create these lovely line variations. And I think that I will want to grind this down to a fine tip so that I can have even more line variations. But by no means is any gold nib a flex nib. So I don't usually flex my nibs. And I find that flexing my nibs to write makes, I just fear of splitting the tines and, or, splitting the tines. I don't want that to ever happen. But just writing like that, you can see different line variations. But because it's such a broad nib and I write really small, I don't see much line variation in my writing. So I'm so happy that I got this now so that I can bring it to the pen show and get it grounded to the perfect size for me so that I can write with this daily. And this blue looks amazing. It's like it doesn't know if it wants to be a turquoise or a teal, but it's very deep and dark. But then with the line variation, there are much lighter teals and turquoise showing up here. So this pen is perfect for showing those shading. So here is the Visconti medium. All right, and there's a line. It is super thick. And here is my, and I know all of my inks are different, so like it's, take the with a grain of salt in terms of like accurate line widths and broadness, thickness of the nibs. This is the Pilot Custom Medium. The Visconti medium is slightly thicker than the Pilot Custom medium. This is my Kaweco medium. This is my Leonardo medium. It is more of like a fine medium. And then just for Visconti comparisons, this is my Visconti broad nib. So it's very similar to the broad for sure, slightly thinner, but just looking up here, it almost writes like my Visconti broad. So let's see here. Yeah, it's very broad. So a drier ink will most of the time provide you with thinner lines, and like it dried pretty fast. Let me see. So it's a wet writer, but it is also a pilot ink, so it is not a fire hose of an ink when it's trying to dry. So, but it's nice and juicy and wet. So like I love juicy wet pens and pens and ink pairings. So this is great for me. Okay. So I'll just zoom in to you guys here. You can see how the Visconti medium is super thick. And I thought the Faber-Castell medium was thick. It is thick. And the thinnest is my Leonardo medium, which, like I said already, it writes like a fine. So Visconti medium is a thick, juicy medium. Faber-Castell medium is also close to a regular Western medium. So very, very thick Visconti medium. The 23K Palladium nib medium is definitely thicker than the 23 or than the 18 karat gold nib in the medium. So if you decide to get a Visconti medium in the new 18 karat gold nib, it's not going to be as thick and juicy as this one. It'll be thinner. And I found that by watching Brian Angoulet pens. He showed the samples, and it's just it's a clear difference. So if you like thinner pens, the new 18 karat would be great. If you want the 23 karat Palladium nib, you will most likely have to, I mean, I think the only way to get them is through buying it used. And just make sure that you ask any questions to ensure that the pen writes really well before you buy it. But most of the time, if someone's selling the pen, they will give you all the information of how well or how well it writes, or if it doesn't write well. And the great thing is that it writes well already, but I'm going to grind it down to a cursive italic fine. So I think it's going to be more like this Leonardo medium, or I do want it to be kind of like the Faber-Castell medium here. It's very nice, but this is just a little too thick for my liking. So yeah, and so after the pen show, I will do another test, and so you guys will get to see that. And I will also try to get as much video clips of the San Francisco pen show as I can next weekend. So definitely look forward to that. If you have any questions about the Visconti Homo sapien, Bronze Age, or any other Visconti Homo sapiens, let me know down in the comments. I don't think this is the last Visconti I'm getting. I am thrilled and in love with Italian pens, especially Leonardo, and then now Visconti. So I just hate that it's so expensive. The price for this one was amazing, so I was happy with that. And I feel like I'm gonna buy the Visconti Homo sapien Earth Origins, the Earth one, the yellow with teal and deep violets. That one is just gorgeous, and I can't wait to like see it in person if there's any at the San Francisco pen show. And most likely I might not be able to stop myself from buying that pen. So if I do stop myself, I'm gonna try my best to find it online, but like if it's there, I'm gonna have it. And the other Visconti Homo sapiens that I want is the the Blue Lagoon, which has these beautiful bright turquoise and beautiful teal, but it's a transparent barrel, and it's gorgeous, but it's resin and it's over $1,000, and I never find it on sale. So unless somebody puts it on sale on eBay for like 500, I'll never get that Blue Lagoon. But the Earth Origins, that one is just way too good to pass by or to pass up if I see it in person. So maybe expect me to have another Visconti by the time I get back from the pen show. Alrighty, so that is all. If you found this video helpful in taking a close and initial look at the Visconti Homo sapiens Bronze Age, as well as the line variations, and you found any of this helpful or fun, please do like and comment down below, and consider subscribing if you have not been subscribed yet. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.